Okay, so chapter 16. So chapter 16 was all about adjectives of the third declension. So that includes, three ending adjectives, two ending adjectives, and single ending adjectives. When I refer to that, it's specifically about their nominative forms, dependent on gender. And aside from that, they all decline similar to I-stem third declension nouns, with one exception being in the ablative singular. And that's marked on this chart here. That's why I already have it pulled up. But if you look third declension ablative singular in the box there, it says for adjectives only of that declension, you end in an I. So moving on, aside from that, they have the same usages and word orders that we've seen before. Predicate, nominatives, they have the same attributive adjectives and the same substantive, just like we've seen before with who, saw, whom. So getting right into the exercises, number 5 here. We have two verbs. Looks like I actually had a part get deleted there. Two verbs. One where we'd expect, and one right in the middle. However, we have an et kind of dividing, so this is two phrases, right? So, starting with the left side, itakwe is a conjunction that we have seen before. It means and so. Could be an adverb, I guess, however you wish to. It might be both, to be honest. But we have enter, the preposition, which takes accusative. We have the adverb ibi, and then on to our, and a pronoun here. And then on to our verb, stabam. It's come from sto, stare. You can see in the vocab down there, but sto, stare, steti, status. So we're taking the second part, drop the re, add a bam. That gets us in the middle left of the verb chart here. So we are in imperfect tense, first person, singular. And what does that mean? That means that the subject of our sentence is I, me, right? I am the speaker of the sentence. So in terms of translating, we will start the sentence with I, right? Because I'm the one talking. So from starting with itakwe, and so, thus so, I was standing, because it's imperfect, right? I did not I'm not standing right now. I have not stood. I was standing. And what? Enter eos. So eos here for the is aid third person personal pronoun. I'll put the chart up for you, but for the plural trick that I have, they decline just like plural first second declensions. So eos would, from our declension chart, we'd think accusative plural masculine. And sure enough, if you go to the actual chart on the bottom of that page, you'll see that that is what it is, accusative plural masculine. And that works out with enter, because that our preposition takes the accusative. So ibi is just an adverb meaning there, like that at that physical point in space. So I was standing among them, those people, there, at, and what was I doing? I was expect a bombing. I was, just like the first one, imperfect first singular. I was expecting, just as you think you would expect that to translate to. I was looking out for, I was expecting. Awaiting. And doing the rest of this right side. Signum, down, animo. I'll close it here for now, but I'll justify that later. You could close it around the animo. That'd be fine. Diu is an adverb, and forti is one of our brand new third declension adjectives. So we'll do that one last. Cum, as you should know by now, takes the ablative. So signum, first noun here, that comes from signum, Sydney, second declension. So we're down here in our second declension on the chart. Signum to be nominative singular or to be accusative singular. However, we know that the nominative, the subject, should be I, right? I am the subject of the sentence. So this has only one logical choice: accusative, singular, neuter. And what was I expecting? I was expecting the signal, a signal, a sign, cum animo forti. So animo, we'll do that one first because we know it comes from animus, animi, second declension. Animo gets us two options: dative singular or ablative singular. We have a preposition right next to it which states the ablative, so it's a safe bet that we are ablative singular. And that is a masculine, which will be maybe important for this third declension adjective. So forti comes from fortis, forte. So it's a two adjective of two endings. So for male, female, it's fortis, and for neuter, it is forte in the nominative case. And the other ones, they decline like I stems with that one exception for ablative. So, like I said, we go to the third declension, just like for nouns. We look for an I ending, right? Fort plus I instead of fortis. So fort plus I gets us either dative or ablative singular in this case, by that little box there. And we're right next to an ablative with no other real nouns to modify. So it's ablative singular. And guess what? Even though they look really nothing alike in terms of ending, it does modify animo. And so I was expecting a signal, cum animo forti, with a brave spirit, with a brave heart. Dio. Dio just means for a long time, for a while. And that's it. That's it for number 5. So for number 7, a little simpler of a sentence, just one main phrase here. We have muta wit as our governing verb, our main verb of the sentence. Underlining our nouns. Pronouns. More obvious noun adjective agreement. More obvious noun adjective agreement. So you might be tempted to see a Caribbean and think that is from Acer, that you learned this chapter, but that is a different but similar meaning noun. This comes from acerbus, first, second declension adjective. So not third declension adjective, although you might be tempted to use it. Mutawit, and then is our main verb. It comes from mutare. So we've taken mutav. So we've taken the third part, dropped the I, added an it, and where does that put us? That puts us over in perfect tense. Perfect tense, third person, singular. He, she, it did. So it means to change. So he, she, it changed, mutated in the past. So starting from the left side for our nouns, we have weis, which means strength or power. We know from that entry, this is the nominative singular form. It's feminine, if that matters. There's an adjective or something. We have belly, curvy. So belly comes from bellum, belly. Just from that, second declension, genitive singular. Neuter. Same thing with a curvy. It's a usa adjective, so it just follows the like. So we have I ending. Altum is an adverb that means moreover. Wetom comes from weta, wetai, first declension. And I'll throw the declension chart now. But first declension, easy enough, accusative singular. Feminine. I'll skip a's for now. We have oris as our last noun. Comes from ora, ori, first declension. So we have two options here. Technically, we have two options by the ending, but we'll determine which one here in a second. And lastly, Palkis, you can go ahead and make the jump there that is agreeing with Ori's, because it really doesn't have anything around it to agree with. Same thing, it could be dative singular, or it. Sorry, this is not singular. These are plurals. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much on that. Okay, so eus should clue you in that, and hopefully you got this chart a little more memorized now. This one here, that gets you down towards the bottom of this chart, and gets you down into the genitive singular, kind of like the unus nata adjectives, the ius, like unius. So genitive singular. And then eus could be any gender, right? We see that's all three options, so we'll have to figure out what that applies to based on its location. So starting with the main verb, you to wit, we know our subject is vis. So vis, the strength, has changed. The power of the power has changed in the past. However, is there anything else that modifies it? Well, we have belly a caribou right next to it, right? We know it's genitive, so let's see. The power of the war, but not of the war, of the harsh war, fierce war. Autumn. Okay, what has it done? Has changed, right? Since we're perfect. And we need our direct object, so what's an accusative? We, Tom. So has changed the life, but we have eus right next to it, so not the life, but, you know, his, her life. We'll go with his life. His life. Pautis oris. So this is where we have to make our choice. So we have just learned in the last couple chapters of the ablative of time, right? That means in or at, and in the time span of a few, like an immediate moment. So the only real use here that we can see, it's not change his life to a few hours, but in a few hours, right? Substituting that in preposition there. So in ablative of time, when. Right. And I think instead of power, maybe like magnitude or size. Weight, you know. Just might make a little more sense. You could say like a battle almost, but violence, whatever. So for number 9, that's it for this one. Number 9, pretty straightforward who our subject is here. Our verb is actually not, our main verb is not the end here, but our kind of complementary infinitive is. And I'll go ahead and label that, since we should recognize by the ere ending that that's an infinitive. Other things going on here, we have some personal adjective agreement with a noun, prepositional phrase which takes the ablative, and I won't actually close it out on this time, just since there are a couple things that look like they could be ablative. We don't exactly know where that is going to end out. So our subject is Caesar, right? Pretty straightforward. Non-singular masculine. The only thing here is we have poterot, right? So we have poterot. Poterot. And so with that, we take, my trick is you take the stem, post or pot, and you take the linking verb that's been attached on. So in this case, it's erot. So normally erot would be he, she, it was, right? Imperfect. So for poterat, it is still imperfect. We're just talking about being able to do something. Imperfect. Erat is third person singular. So it makes sense, right? Caesar, he, she, it, third person singular. Kopios, we know that means either like a number or an amount, but in plural to mean like troops. And I've put that there in the vocab. But we have a kopios, so it's first declension. As, accusative plural, so it makes sense to use troops here. Suos comes from suus, like the reflexive adjective here. So we're talking about the speaker's own. So whatever's own noun, right? So his own dog, his own, in this case, troops. So it follows just like an adjective because it is one. So let's go ahead and start translating here. We can fill in the preposition. So Caesar, non-poterat, so not was able, but able to do what? To yongere means to join, to unite. We're looking for a direct object here, so accusative kopios. So not just the troops, but his own troops. Cool. And we'll keep going here. So we have calaribus, copies, redis. So there are two more nouns. Copies should look semi-familiar. We have copios, so copies, and redis. So redis, the easier one probably comes from rets, redis. So just from that, genitive singular, right? Meaning king. So we know that that's not part of the prepositional phrase. So we have copies. So we know that this could be dative or ablative singular. And I won't even put the dative. Because we have no other noun here in the sentence to then be the subject, right? Calaribus is an adjective. So let's figure out what calaribus is. So calar is a third declension. Third declension adjective, right? So it declines, third declension, so we're in the middle column. We see ibus for dative, accusative, ablative, so that could be dative or ablative as well. However, we're right next to the cum, so ablative. I don't know why I put ablative singular there. I'm off it today. Ablative plural as well. And they look nothing alike, but they have agreement there in gender number case. So he could not join his own troops with the calaribus copies, the troops, but the quick troops. Redis, genitive. Possessive genitive. The king's troop. Or the quick troops of the king. That's it for number 9. So number 10. So we have, and I think this is provided in your book, but Themistocles is a name and nominative. They are our subject. All right. So we have appellabot. We'll go with the left side of the et for now. Appellabot. So we've taken appellare, dropped the re, added a bat. So similar to what we saw with the bomb, but we're a third person, imperfect third person singular. Not too hard to go ahead and apply that down to tenabot while we're here. Olum is an adverb, don't worry about it. Omnes Kiwis. So that Kiwis, Kiwis, I think, means a citizen. It is a third declension noun. So we're looking at third declension. We have es. So it could be accusative or nominative plural. Those are two options from the chart here. We know our subject is singular, so doubtful that that is nominative plural. And you can see it pretty much here for the agreement, but omnes is a third declension adjective, meaning all or the whole. Third declension adjective, and it agrees because it declines in the third declension. With some minor exceptions, it agrees in ending es with qs. So it's also accusative plural. So we can go ahead and do this left side here. What was he doing? Well, it's imperfect, so he was. And second part, we have tenebot, imperfect third singular. So Themistocles is keeping on as our subject. Et nomina, so from nomen, nominis, third declension noun, neuter. So we're looking at the parentheses endings in the third declension. So nomina gets you either an accusative or a nominative plural. We know our subject is singular. Easy enough, accusative plural. Aorum, we can look at the chart, but you should be able to hopefully pick out that that's a genitive plural. Masculine, genitive plural. Actually, it might be. It's both masculine and neuter, genitive plural. Yeah, my bad. It's both masculine and neuter, genitive plural. Which makes sense, right? We have this neuter noun right next to it. Next we have acri memoria. So we'll do memoria first. So memoria I is a first declension noun. So memoria is an ablative, as long as I've written it down from the book correctly, using this macron. And I have not, which is what I was kind of thinking. So without the macron, memoria, let me see. Let's see this dictionary entry here. Maybe it does have a macron. Let me check on this. Memoria. It does have a macron. Yep. So no, I was right. And what I said, ablative, singular, applies. That's what I thought. Okay. So lastly, we have acri. So acri, not aceribus. It's from acer, which means fierce. Third declension. Adjective. So acri, we know for adjectives in the third declension, the I ending can indicate either a dative or a ablative singular. Well, what nouns do we have that are either dative or ablative singular? Well, we have an ablative singular right next to it. So, goes on to memoria there. So, and he was holding, and this is a turn of phrase, but when you have tenebot, you say holding in the memory. But you could just say remembering. I'll say it literally. Holding in memory, memoria tenebat. And what was he holding? The direct object nomina. The names, genitive plural, of them, the citizens. And, okay, actually, forgot to add the acri to memoria. So in English, you'd say closer to Themistocles was maybe summoning doesn't work, but naming, calling out every citizen, and he was holding and he was remembering all of their names. Would be that's literally a better translation would be like this. Something like that. Sorry for the mistakes, but that's chapter 16 exercises.